Pilots aren't supposed to panic. They're trained to stay calm through engine failures, alarms, turbulence, and even life-or-death emergencies. But lately, something has been shaking even the most experienced crews. Objects in the sky that accelerate instantly, vanish without a trace, hover at impossible angles. And the recordings leaking from cockpits around the world reveal that pilots are seeing something they cannot explain, and something someone is trying very hard to silence. This isn't about blurry UFO footage captured by shaky phone cameras. This is about commercial aviation. Real aircraft, full of passengers, flying through controlled airspace where nothing unknown should exist. And yet these objects keep appearing. Closer, bolder, more frequent. According to flight crews, air traffic controllers, and declassified military documents, the skies are no longer empty. Something is sharing the air with us, watching us, and it isn't following the rules of physics. Let's begin with one of the most disturbing encounters ever documented. A commercial captain flying a routine long-haul route over the Pacific notices a bright object rising above the cloud layer. At first, he assumes it's another aircraft catching sunlight. But in seconds, the object shoots upward, vertically, faster than any known aircraft could possibly move. He radios air traffic control. They check radar. Nothing. His co-pilot sees it too. As they watch, the object drifts directly in front of their cockpit, holding a perfect position in the sky, as if observing them. No wings, no exhaust, no movement, just there. Seconds later, it blinks out of existence as if someone switched it off. The recording of their call leaked years later. The airline refused to comment. The FAA labeled the event anomalous. But this wasn't an isolated incident. Not even close. Across the world, Europe, South America, Australia, the US, pilots have been reporting objects capable of breaking every known law of motion. A Brazilian pilot described a metallic sphere performing intelligent movements. A crew over Alaska reported a long, dark object pacing our aircraft at high altitude. A pilot over the Mediterranean watched a glowing triangle mirror their flight path for nearly 15 minutes, never appearing on radar once. These objects share uncanny similarities. No wings, no propulsion, no aerodynamic design, silent movement, instant acceleration, precision tracking. They act with intention. They maneuver like they know exactly what they're doing. And the deeper we look, the clearer the patterns become. Military pilots, the people trained to identify hostile aircraft, admit these objects move in ways that should be impossible. One naval aviator described a craft that went from 28,000 feet to sea level in less than a second. Another watched an object cross 60 miles of radar coverage instantaneously. Even retired generals have said, whatever these things are, they outperform any nation's technology by a century. So what exactly are pilots seeing? Some believe these craft belong to classified military programs. But this theory collapses quickly. No human-made aircraft can hover at 40,000 feet without propulsion. No secret jet can turn 90 degrees without inertia tearing it apart. And no black-budget project would risk revealing itself to random commercial flights filled with civilians. Meaning, whatever this is, it's not ours. Not Russian, not Chinese, not experimental. Something else entirely. A growing number of researchers believe these objects use a form of propulsion based on gravitational warping or space-time distortion. Something so advanced that our physics simply can't interpret it. This would explain the instantaneous acceleration, vanishing, and non-aerodynamic shapes. But then comes the more unsettling theory. These objects are not just traveling through our airspace, they're monitoring us. Multiple pilots have described encounters where the objects seemed curious, almost interactive, positioning themselves directly in front of cockpits, pacing flight paths, or circling commercial jets at precise distances. A Singapore Airlines pilot said, "It felt like we were being scanned, observed, as if it wanted to understand the aircraft." Another, flying over Canada, described a sphere that approached so close he thought it would impact the left wing, only to shoot vertically upward faster than his eyes could track. The pattern becomes even darker when we examine how these incidents are handled. Pilots who speak publicly are often contacted by their airlines. Some are told not to discuss the event again. Others are ordered to file reports that later vanish from company databases. A few are warned, subtly, that continuing to talk may call their mental fitness into question, risking their careers. A Spanish captain put it perfectly. It wasn't disbelief. They believed us. They just didn't want us to continue. So why the secrecy? Some say it's about avoiding public panic. Commercial aviation relies on trust. If passengers learned objects were interacting with airliners at cruising altitude, they demand answers airlines don't have. Others believe governments know far more, and have known for decades. Some think these objects appear near commercial airliners because the aircraft themselves serve as controlled observation points, predictable, trackable, and ideal for monitoring. There's also the possibility that pilot encounters are increasing not by chance, but by escalation. The objects are becoming more confident, more willing to approach, more willing to reveal control over the airspace. In 2021, a pilot over Mexico described 5 identical metallic spheres surrounding his plane in a formation. He captured them on video. Analysts concluded the movement defied aerodynamics. In 2022, a British pilot recorded an object pacing his aircraft for nearly 7 minutes, moving like a perfectly smooth, controlled machine with impossible acceleration. In 2023, a commercial pilot anonymously uploaded a video of a craft that appeared, disappeared, and reappeared in multiple locations around his plane in seconds. Radar captured nothing. And in 2024, leaked ATC audio revealed 3 separate airline crews reporting the same object within an hour, a glowing cylinder hovering at 39,000 feet. The more cases you examine, the more one chilling truth emerges. Something is in the skies with us, and it's not going away. We may be approaching a point where the phenomenon can no longer be dismissed as imagination or glitch. When the people most qualified to understand the sky begin reporting impossible objects with consistency and detail, maybe it's time we stop doubting and start listening. Because for the first time in aviation history, commercial pilots, the calmest, most disciplined observers in the world, are admitting there are things up there they cannot identify, cannot predict, and cannot escape. And whatever they are, they're getting closer. But there's one detail almost no one talks about, a pattern hiding beneath the surface of these encounters. When pilots report these objects, they often describe something else happening at the same time. Electrical anomalies. Autopilot disconnects for no reason. Compass readings drift. Cabin lights flicker despite no mechanical issue. And radar screens glitch with geometric shapes that shouldn't appear in aviation software. It's as if the presence of these objects bends more than just the air around them. They disturb instruments, disrupt electromagnetic fields, and interfere with systems designed to be fail-proof. This is not speculation. Multiple flight crews from different continents have reported identical malfunctions in the moments before or after an encounter. In one case, a pilot claimed every touchscreen in the cockpit froze simultaneously as a glowing sphere hovered off the right wing. The moment the sphere shot upward and vanished, every system returned to normal, with not a single error code logged afterward. Technically impossible, yet it happened. These details suggest something far more complicated than simple sightings. Whatever these things are, they interact with the environment, with machinery, and possibly with consciousness itself. A growing number of researchers argue that the objects might not obey the same physical reality we do, appearing and disappearing not as evasive maneuvers, but because they shift between states of existence we cannot yet measure. To them, radar invisibility isn't stealth. It's physics we don't understand. And that leads us to the most chilling possibility of all. Maybe these objects aren't entering our airspace. Maybe they're already here, and only revealing themselves when they choose to. If that's true, then every commercial flight, every night flight, every plane crossing oceans or continents might not be alone in the sky. Pilots may only be seeing a fraction of what's truly out there. And if the frequency of encounters is increasing, then whatever these things are, they may be preparing for something much bigger, something that has nothing to do with aviation and everything to do with us. If you want more investigations into these patterns, hidden recordings, and what pilots are too afraid to say publicly, make sure to follow and subscribe.